let's begin by telling you that 33 persons have been killed or feared killed by suspected herdsmen in coordinated attacks in Gwar West and Upper local government areas of Benue State, leaving many residents missing as the affected communities began a head count on Monday morning. At about 7 p.m. on Sunday, residents of Shianswa in Naka town, the headquarters of Gwar West local government area, came under attack by suspected herdsmen, leaving 17 people dead as others fled for their lives. Gwar West has 15 political council wards and 14 of those have been affected by herdsmen attacks, leaving Naka town as a safe place to run for the people. But Sunday's attack has compromised public safety at the local government headquarters. Meanwhile, 16 persons were killed in Edikwe and Anka Pali communities from the neighboring Apa local government area. Let's head to Enugu State, where the state government there says it has moved 13-year-old Ukwamaka Okonkwo, the rescued kidnapped victim, from Eziagu to a state-owned rehabilitation facility. The Commissioner for Children, Gender Affairs and Social Development, Ngozi Ani, in a statement said that the action was at the instance of the state governor, Peter Mba. The commissioner said the government understood the girl must have experienced trauma the few hours that she spent in captivity and decided to step in by providing a therapy for her. The statement further disclosed that the state government has, further disclosed that the state government has awarded her scholarship up to university level. Now, News Center's Chinwe Ugeli confirms that Ukwamaka has already been moved from her village by the government. And now to security matters. The commander of United States Africa Command, General Michael Langley, has raised the alarm over growing efforts by extremist groups and terrorists in the Sahel to gain access to West Africa's coastline. Describing recent attacks in Nigeria, the wider Sahel, as well as the Lake Chad Basin as deeply troubling. Langley, he warned that terrorist access to the coast would significantly boost their capabilities or capacity for smuggling and arms trafficking. Langley, who spoke during a press conference at the weekend, said the U.S. was increasingly concerned that a coastal incursion would not only endanger African nations, but also raise a threat alarm or the threat level to American interests. He urged frontline coastal states such as Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, and Benin to hold firm along their northern borders to prevent terrorist infiltration. We'll move on now away from that. The Federal High Court chapter of the Judiciary Staff Union of Nigeria, Johnson, has commenced enforcement of the industrial action declared by its national body. Members of the union on Monday locked out judges, lawyers, staffs, as well as litigants from accessing courts in different parts of the country. For instance, all access to the Federal High Court headquarters located along Shehu Shagari Way in Abuja were under lock. Judges, staff, lawyers, litigants, and members of the public were denied access as business activities in and around the court were paralyzed. The National Board, had on Monday 30th in the circular by its acting National Secretary, MJ Akwashiki, asked all its chapters chairmen to, effective from midnight Sunday, June 1st, direct all their members to stay at home. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has issued a strong warning to property owners in Abuja, urging them to pay their levies or risk losing their properties. Speaking during a media parley, Wike emphasized that the FCT administration would no longer tolerate tax evasion, stressing that revenue from property taxes is vital for infrastructure and public services. He made it clear that the government has the authority to reclaim properties from defaulters if necessary. Wike called on residents and estate owners to comply promptly, saying that enforcement measures will be strictly implemented in the coming weeks.
2 years, for example. Their tenancy will expire tomorrow. You are coming to tell the landlord, because it will not remind you, it's the duty of the landlord now to not remind you. You see, now you are shifting it to the landlord, but that's not the case here. You have a CFO, and the CFO says, you'll be paying annually for you to continue to keep that property. That already says 100,000, 200,000 as the case may be. And you are not saying again, some people may not have the financial reason to keep to it. We're talking about central business area. We're talking about Maitama. We're talking about Use 1, Use 2. We're talking about Asokoro. How many poor people live here? Tell me, how many poor people live here? Most of them live their own property overseas. But they remember that they must pay their taxes. If they don't pay their taxes, government will take over the property. Here in Nigeria, oh no, nothing will happen. Is this attitude of nothing will happen? Is this attitude of religion and ethnicity that has killed us and has kept us where we are?
Let's go on a short break, shall we? When we return, rights groups to protect, or rather to protest insecurity, harsh economy on June 12th. We'll tell you all about this and plenty more after this break. Stay with us. And you're welcome back. A senior advocate of Nigeria, senior advocate of Nigeria, SAN, Femi Falana, has criticized Nigeria over alleged failure to comply with some judgments of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, the Community Court of Justice. Falana was reacting to a recent statement by President Bola Tinubu during the 50th anniversary celebration of ECOWAS in Lagos, where he noted that the bloc had promoted democratic principles by observing elections, facilitating mediation and strengthening institutions. Falana insisted that the reality is far from Tinubu's claim, as ECOWAS leaders, including Nigeria, have continued to treat the court's decision with disdain. And so to help us make sense of this, we're joined by legal practitioner Bayo Sani. Bayo, it's good to have you join us in the studio.
Thank you for
having me. And a very good evening to you.
Good evening to you.
Let's just get started with the statements or the comments by Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana. And Nigeria is failing to comply, with some judgments of the ECOWAS, Community Court. What would you make of that comment?
You see, it is an unfortunate development in the legal system within the ECOWAS community, especially when it's coming from Nigeria, that is presently sitting as, chairing the ECOWAS community presently. You see, any act of refusal to obey or enforce judgment of any court whatsoever, any court whatsoever, should be seen as repugnant to natural justice, equity, and good conscience. It should not be tolerated in the present-day society. So even if we are talking about, it's ECOWAS court or whatever, it shows the attitude of those governments to even the courts within their own countries. So it is a very unfortunate development, and I want to add my voice to the concerns raised by Mr. Femi Falana, SAN, about the willful refusal of member states, not only Nigeria. Nigeria is not the only culprit. A lot of them, many of these states have refused over time to obey the decisions of ECOWAS court.
But is there a constitutional or legislative obligation to comply with ECOWAS's rulings?
Now, that is where the problem lies. ECOWAS court was actually created by Article 6 of the ECOWAS Treaty. And by that article, member states have the obligation to obey and enforce the decisions of that court. But where the problem lies is not in the creation or the obligation, it's in the mechanism put in place to ensure that the decisions are enforced and implemented. And if you refuse to obey or you refuse to enforce it, what redress do those who have the judgment in their favor have before any court? That is the lacuna that we have in that legal framework. So, like you rightly asked, it's not that we don't have any statutory provision for yes under the Article 6 of that ECOWAS treaty. So there's a legal framework creating the ECOWAS court, but the lacuna in that legal framework is that lack of enforcement mechanism.
So, I mean, it begs to ask the question whether the court can then, ECOWAS court can then sanction member states, for example, Nigeria, for non-compliance of this ruling.
That is the enforcement mechanism that we are talking about. There's no consequence for disobedience.
And why is that, though? Is it just the rules itself, or is this just lack of political will or sheer will to follow through?
You see, when we talk about lack of political will, we must be talking about, is there any provision in the first place to ensure the full compliance of these member states with these decisions of this court? And if they refuse, there should be consequences. If you look at the local courts now, under the local jurisdiction, when I mean local, I'm talking about within the internal states, or I mean within the legal system of the member states. Now, Nigeria, for example, we have contempt proceedings. If a court gives an order and you refuse to obey the order of court, there is contempt. You can commence contempt proceedings against that person who has refused to obey the order of court. And also, you have the several mechanisms. You have the order of mandamus that can compel anybody in authority to actually act if they refuse to act. You understand? And even if you are the Inspector General of Police, contempt proceedings can be commenced against you if you refuse to obey the court order. But now look at ECOWAS, for example. We have created a state. We have created a court. Members of the ECOWAS community have the obligation under the law to obey, to enforce this law. Obligation under the law. And now what the provision says is that on their own, they should now create an authority that will enforce the laws. The decisions of the ECOWAS courts. Look at that. They will have to go back, create an authority within their system that will enforce the decisions of the ECOWAS court. In Nigeria, if I have my facts right, the Office of the Attorney General is saddled with the responsibility of enforcing the decisions of the ECOWAS court. How far has the Attorney General gone with that responsibility?
Now that we're talking about, just Nigeria's constitution and of itself, does the supremacy clause in the Nigeria's constitution section 1 override regional obligations under ECOWAS protocols?
Most of this, that is exactly, these are the kind of provisions that most of these community states are now hiding under. The ECOWAS court cannot supersede their own apex court. You understand? So we have a lot of work to do. It's a good idea. Creation of that kind of court is a very good idea. It's a laudable idea, and it will go a long way in ensuring that common man on the streets of the ECOWAS community has effective access to justice. It will go a long way. We have seen a lot of cases. Look at the recent decision in Nigeria where the ECOWAS court ruled that the sentencing of that fellow that I think burnt the Quran or something and was sentenced to death by the Sharia court, the ECOWAS court ruled that decision is unconstitutional. You understand? So there are several. Even look at Liberia. Mrs. Doe, after her husband was overthrown, were only able to get redress from ECOWAS court. Many of them in Sierra Leone also, Cote d'Ivoire, when there was crisis, Laurent Gbagbo approached the ECOWAS court. So we cannot we can't be resentful towards something that will give citizens access to justice.
Right.
It still calls to question.
I wonder if this is a Nigerian problem, like this disregard, for such rulings when it comes to judicial matters, whether it's a Nigerian thing itself or it's a West African problem. Because you just cited issues of, Laurent Gbagbo, Cote d'Ivoire, Liberia's former First Lady, and how they were able to get redress on issues that concern them, right?
Yes.
And this is a lot different from Nigeria. There are people whose rulings affect their lives, and it will bring circa, maybe closure to things that have happened to them and their families. And to see, this sheer disregard for it, one has to ask if it's Nigerian.
Well, it's not a Nigerian thing. The issue is not peculiar to Nigeria alone. It's an ECOWAS problem. In fact, it's an African problem. It's not ECOWAS alone. However, Nigeria, from the facts available to us today, Nigeria is at the forefront of cases that have been decided at the ECOWAS court, and there has been willful refusal to obey this court. As of today, we have 49 of those decisions that Nigeria has not enforced under any circumstance. So we start to go back to the drawing board. Perhaps, maybe these are some of the issues that Nigeria should now help as a leader. We see ourselves as the leader of the ECOWAS community.
Right. And one of the founding fathers happens to be our former...
actually the founding father.
The founding father is...
Exactly, because the treaty to establish ECOWAS was signed here in Lagos.
Yeah, this sheer disregard. 50 years into this being hosted here, reenactment of the treaty, but here...
And we are still battling with the enforcement of judgments in our own country.
That's what I'm saying, whether it's really a Nigerian problem. But I wish we could continue, but here's where we have to draw the curtains. I must say thank you for taking that time.
Thank you for having me.
Maurizio Sarri, he is a legal practitioner, joined us to give us a bit of insight following the disregard from courts, the ECOWAS community courts for Nigeria. Let's switch gears, shall we, to Niger State, where days after the devastating flash floods in Mokwa, many students of an Islamic school located within the community are still missing. News Central Television spoke to a teacher in the school who says that the school is yet to account for several students from the 800 usually in attendance. He says that the missing students added to the flood waters in the school and has compounded their situation, worsening the current tragedy. Our correspondent Joshua Marai is live at Niger Mokwa there. Joshua, 800 children, some not being able to be accounted for days after the flooding. What's the latest?
That is one of the many plights of residents here in Mokwa local government of Niger State. They are still counting their losses in properties and in lives. However, the deputy governor this afternoon, while receiving the former Anambra governor, that is person of Peter Obi, confirmed that the death toll has risen to 200 and still 1,000 persons are still unaccounted for. Meanwhile, the deputy chairman of Mokwa local government, that's the person of Musa Kimbuku, has said that the search and rescue effort has ended. This is not far-fetched because he said that the search is no longer a rescue effort, that they do not believe that days after the incident there will still be survivors loitered around the banks of the River Niger and wherever that the flood has taken them to. Meanwhile, the Minister of Police Affairs says the FG, the federal government, is committed to securing lives and properties of those affected by the flooding, and they have stationed mobile policemen around the area where this particular incident has occurred, and even the IDP camps as well. Well, I am live at the scene of the incident. I can tell you for sure on good authority that there is no one single mobile policeman on site. I was there earlier this morning at the IDP camp, and I can tell you for sure that government presence is not felt there as well. So I am wondering where this news is coming from and where the stance that the Minister of Police Affairs is taking, saying the FG has secured life and properties. The situation here is that as most of those affected by this incident are relying on friends, well-wishers and neighbors to scale through this particular phase, which they believe they will scale through.
Joshua, I must say thank you for that update. Joshua Marai, correspondent live from Mokwa, Niger State, the site of the tragic flooding that have killed at this time 200 persons and 1,000 still missing. Switch gears now. Earlier we told you that the commander of the United States Africa Command, Major General Michael Langley, has raised the alarm over growing efforts by extremist groups and terrorists in the Sahel to gain access to West Africa's coastal line. I also did warn countries or African countries with coastal line, that's Benin, Ghana as well, to be mindful of their coastal lines. Well, joining us to give us a bit of insight on this call or concern is the security expert Darlington Omoro, who joins us live virtually. Darlington, many thanks for joining us. Now, this issue that's been raised by the General are quite far-reaching. How worried should we be?
Well, it's not new to us. We've been experiencing that over time. The Lake Chad basin, around the Lake Chad basin. Of course, you know, at the point in time that Boko Haram were collecting taxes from men who go to the Lake Chad to fish. They either collect monies or they collect fish from them. In most times they're taking charge of that aspect in Nigeria. But what he is talking about now is the extension of all of that to some other neighboring countries, particularly Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire. But what are they going to do? How are they going to help West Africa, for instance, in tackling some of these problems? We have seen that it's not just enough to talk. It's about what America is ready to do for the West Africans to survive these terrorists. What have they been able to do beyond mere talking? Have they been able to carry out the same thing they did with Somalia, where they had, according to him, he said they have been involved in about 21 area bombardment of the jihadists. Here we have the terrorists who are deadlier than the jihadists. How many times have they been able to carry out bombardment on Sambisa Forest, locations where you have the terrorists?
Yeah, but Darlington, if this intelligence is coming to them and they have shared it and raised concerns and said, look, there's a regional threat that is about to happen, all states with coastal lines as their borders be tight. Is that not enough? Because I wonder how we're leaning to these nations that's not even an African nation, but is still giving you intelligence. Should we now blame them for trying to inform us? Have we done enough for our borders?
My question is it enough to talk and not to assist these countries that you know do not really have been battling with these terrorists or jihadists? So is it enough just to talk? What you call intelligence? It's intelligence. When you talk about it, as if they've not been able. I've had reasons to take over the Lake Chad basin for some time, where they even collected taxes from farmers, particularly fishermen who go to that. Are they talking about Nigeria, or they are talking about Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, or the Republic of Benin? Is it enough to just talk and not assist? How have they helped Nigeria to purchase equipment?
We seem to be losing Darlington there with his connectivity. We'll try to bring...
Nigeria, you never where they don't really actually be used. So what is the use? What is the use? You're talking about sharing of intelligence.
Right. Darlington, I hate to be in a position where I have to defend or make a case, but unfortunately, one of the perks of my job is to be fair. So let's be fair here, right? The West Africa itself is now split into two, with the withdrawal of the three Sahel states, and they've also created theirs, which is Guinea, Niger, Burkina Faso, and Guinea, right? So these states have withdrawn. They also did ask the French troops to withdraw as well. And we know that every of the states have interest. Every of the African states, in and of whether it's a French-speaking or English-speaking, have bilateral ties with other nations, right? Are you saying that those ones that have been separated too, would they be able to accept favors from America, whether it's assets or anything from this organization or from this joint task force that have raised the alarm? Because you're asking an entire sovereign entity to come and aid you. Doesn't that sound, help me understand this, given all that's happening with West Africa, the ECOWAS community. You didn't ask for ECOMOG. You didn't ask for the ECOWAS community. You didn't ask for a joint task force. You didn't ask for all of these countries to come together to be tighter. But you're asking America to do that.
Don't get me misunderstood, please. I don't want to.
That's why I'm asking the question, because I want to be clear. That's why I'm asking the question, so we can be clear. I'm not trying to misunderstand you. I'm trying to be clear with you to make sense of what you're saying. So help me.
The issue is that meeting was held with the chiefs of defense, where he presented that paper and talked about what you call intelligence, sharing of intelligence about what they think is about to happen. And I'm telling you, authoritatively here, that it has been in Nigeria, it has been happening here. And if you are not aware, then you go research on it. The Lake Chad basin, as terrorists not occupied it for some time. Have Nigerians not been made to pay taxes, particularly those who fish on that lake over time? Now we are talking about beautiful, as much as that is. If you are the commander, the one in charge of the African command, what beyond sharing of intelligence are you going to do to help these people? I just told you about what they did in Somalia. From what he said, and how they have helped Somalia to bombard the jihadists for about 21 times. I just said that to you. How Nigeria has been facing this problem of terrorism over time for how many years now? We went to America to buy Tucanos. The Tucanos came with conditionality. I repeat that, and I will say it over and over. They gave us conditions before they did that. We also went to America to purchase some equipment at a point in time, going through one of the agents in the neighboring country. What happened? Even that money was seized. What we got was that man does not have license to purchase equipment from America for Nigeria. Eventually, Nigeria had to go to court. And it took us so much time before we were able to retrieve that money through courts from US. I'm not saying that America should come here with foot soldiers. If they are sincere in what they are doing with Nigeria and these other African countries that are having this issue, they should be sincere and they should come out openly and help us. I just told you now that you cannot care with conditionality. I just gave you another instance. When we were to buy equipment, when the terrorists were invading this country and killing most people, who are those who have come to our aid? You just mentioned ECOWAS. How have we been able to manage ECOWAS to help us in this fight? Nigeria will always be the one to carry on fight peace mission in other countries when they have the kind of problem we are having in Nigeria now. What are we talking about? Ghana is talking about Ghana. He's talking about Cote d'Ivoire. He's saying he's sharing intelligence on those to tie their security about this coastal line. How would that help us? That is the question I'm putting.
All right. Well, a rhetorical question indeed. Darlington, we do have to go. I must say thank you. Darlington Omori is a security expert, joined us earlier. Darlington, many thanks. We appreciate you for coming on. We'll switch gears now as the Take It Back movement has announced plans to hold a nationwide protest on June 12th to draw attention to the country's worsening insecurity, shrinking civic space, and growing economic hardship. In a statement on Monday by its national coordinator, Juwon Sayolu, the movement condemned the rising wave of insecurity in the Middle Belt and the northern parts of the country. According to Sayolu, communities have been wiped out while thousands remain displaced, with the government either turning a blind eye or denying the scale of the carnage. And you're welcome back. The Nigerian government has admitted it cannot independently deliver stable and functional electricity across the country. The Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, speaking at the 6th National Council on Power in Maiduguri, urged state and local governments to leverage the 2023 Electricity Act to take more responsibility for power generation, transmission, and distribution. News Center's Umaru Kirawa reports.
With a population of over 200 million, Nigeria continues to grapple with outdated infrastructure and long-standing constraints in the power sector, challenges that have significantly impacted economic productivity. At the 6th National Council on Power in Maiduguri, Borno State, Minister of Power Adebayo Adelabu admitted that the federal government alone cannot ensure consistent electricity supply across the nation.
It's difficult for a single level of government to provide stable and functional electricity to over 200 million people. So it was expedient that this power be devolved to the sub-national governments, the state government and the local government. So, Your Excellency, the states do not have any reason not to play actively in generation, in transmission and in distribution, as well as renewable energy.
Also addressing the gathering, Borno State Governor Professor Babagana Zulum stressed the importance of collaboration and regional initiatives to improve access and delivery.
Not any local government area will be left without partner with value. Government agrees that energy shall be completely subsidized, but we should look it as a social service. It's very essential. So government must subsidize some aspect.
The team consolidated reforms for sustainable energy future in Nigeria is aimed at addressing critical issues in the power sector and is expected to boost investment and increase energy access for sustainable national development. This is timely at this juncture of our nation's journey towards reliable and stable electricity.
The National Assembly is actively reviewing and upgrading very key laws that underpin our power sector, including the Electricity Act of 2023.
Despite many Nigerians still paying for estimated bills, often with unreliable service in return, the timeline for a stable power sector remains uncertain. In Maiduguri for News Central, Omori Kirawa.
Tantita Security Services Nigeria Limited has reiterated its commitment to enhancing youth capabilities and development across the Niger Delta region and beyond. Managing Director of the security agency, Kestin Pondi, at the commissioning of the first Isoko Youth House in Ozoro, Delta State, noted that beyond securing Nigeria's oil investments, Tantita is poised to unite the Niger Delta region through people-orientated initiatives aimed at shaping the future of the region. News Centro's Biola Festus completes the report.
The Isoko Youth Movement came into existence as an avenue to demand a better deal for the people of Isoko who faced marginalization as a minority ethnic group in Delta State. However, since its inception, the movement had lacked a secretariat building for meetings and convergence until Tantita Security Services intervened.
We must continue to provide tailored mentorship, skills development, and opportunities for our young people. By doing so, we discourage idleness, gangsterism, and the crime and criminality that often plague idle young minds. The Isoko Youth House will be a center for learning, innovation, and positive engagement. A place where dreams are born and potentials are realized.
The Isoko Youth House is not just a building. It is a symbol of hope, opportunity, and progress. Named in honor of a visionary Fred Obe, this facility provides a platform where dreams are nurtured, skills are honored, and leadership is cultivated.
Renowned for its contributions to programs and projects that foster inclusion and innovation among youth, Tantita Security Services stepped in to complete the first ever Isoko Youth House, providing a safe space for youth coordination, trainings, and engagements.
We are gathered here today to celebrate a promise fulfilled. The Youth House is not just brick and mortar. It is a center of purpose designed to empower, organize, and give voice to the aspirations of Isoko youth. We have a 30 kVA generator. We have a 10 kVA solar system. We have computers, TVs, the place has been furnished to give the Isoko youth whatever it takes for them to function and function well.
Stakeholders are convinced that the Niger Delta region will be a better place when the youth are meaningfully engaged.
Generating set, solar system, speakers and other things, and inside is tastefully furnished. So I advise the youth to cultivate the culture of maintenance so that the people that built it and furnished it will have a good mind of doing more whenever they are called upon. I pray that God will continue to strengthen the management and give them more wisdom to look out and assess people in their points of need.
It's a place where the youth will come together to share ideas, to put heads together to come up with a strategy to further support the young ones that are growing up. Today, the issue of youth restiveness has reduced drastically in Delta State because of what the governor is doing, supporting the youth.
This project or this edifice will be a center where youths can come to sit down to deliberate on issues that is affecting our communities, most especially in the Niger Delta, and to be precise, in Isoko.
The Isoko Youth House will be a center for trainings, innovation, and positive engagement, a place for scouting and realizing potentials among young people. In Ozoro Delta States, for News Central, Biola Festus.
You're welcome back. It's off to Sierra Leone, the capital, Freetown, where a newly launched treatment center is open in the capital. And the center is to provide care for patients suffering from mild to moderate cases of Mpox. The facility opened in response to rising infections and is staffed by a dedicated team of doctors and nurses working around the clock. Health authorities say the center is part of a broader national response aimed at containing the virus and preventing severe complications. Officials are urging early reporting and public awareness to help curb transmission.
One sick here, upline, I roll me, I me pick go take me. It go with me now, always sick out with me, na morning, I go with me na joy. Wake out with me, they got test the sick work, they say na the Mpox na in the pan. Now they tell them I didn't have so, they can go ambulance, then go take me. When they go take me, they go with me, you can't cry for the motor, if you say, na bad side and they go with me. But today, today I tell God thank you. God don't put on, the doctor don't put on, nurse don't put on. I tell them thank you. My body don't better. Nothing not the permission. Pass no more the man.
Nigeria has relaunched the National Talent Export Program, NANIP, to position its youth as a top contenders in the $1 trillion global outsourcing market. It's led by Minister Dr. Jumoke Oduwole and aligned with President Tinubu's economic agenda. NATEP aims to harness Nigeria's youthful English-speaking population and growing digital infrastructure. Newly appointed National Coordinator Teju Abisoye will oversee the program's shift from basic outsourcing to a full-scale ecosystem, driving policy reform, digital skills development, and global partnerships. The goal is to reduce youth and unemployment, boost foreign exchange earnings, and establish Nigeria as Africa's premier global talent hub. Following the tragic road accident that killed 22 Kano athletes, the National Sports Commission now has mandated insurance coverage and mechanical certification for all vehicles and contingents participating in future national sports festivals. The new safety policy aims to prevent similar tragedies after the Gateway Games 2024 in Ogun State. The NSC will conduct compliance audits and enforce strict adherence to safety, insurance, and welfare protocols. Plans are underway for a safety roundtable with state sports commissions to review travel procedures. The commission emphasized the need for a coordinated national safety framework and confirmed ongoing communication with the Kano State government to support response efforts. Katsina United goalkeeper Kuliba Lidum has received an award for his outstanding performance in the 2024-25 Nigeria Premier Football League season. The Central African Republic shot-stopper was recognized by football stakeholders in Katsina State. Aladum recorded 14 clean sheets from 35 league appearances in the season. The shot-stopper was ranked in 6th position for the most clean sheets records in the season. Aladum helped Katsina United escape relegation on the final day of the campaign. He also received a national team call-up following his impressive showing for the coach Aziz Aldu's side. And that's all we can take at this hour, but before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. 33 people have been feared to have been killed as suspected herdsmen launched deadly assault in Benue State. Commander of the United States Africa Command has raised alarm over growing efforts by extremist groups and terrorists in the Sahel to gain access to West Africa's coastline. And we also told you that new Mpox treatment center has opened in Sierra Leone. Now, to remember, they can send us your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number now showing on the screen. And while you're at it, make sure to follow us on social media. We're at News Central TV on all social media platforms. You can always watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Go TV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and stream us live 24/7 on YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Judith at TV.